ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kickin' with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.
Um, First, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Tyree Pope from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Um, Sorry I was a little bit late. I actually thought this was tomorrow, and I got a little confused. I've I've been
That's
moving.
all good, man.
I've
What are
been
the
traveling, so
days? There's
my
the
brain is kind
Justin.
of all over the place right now. Um,
This is all fresh for us. This is, we're just starting out press on this thing. So, like, we're getting used to this whole vibe ourselves. So don't stress it at all. I promise.
all right. First question for you guys is kind of what sparked this project for you guys, and what stood out beyond the page, whether as a director or an actress.
Mhm. Someone
Uh,
hit it.
yeah, sure. I'll start it. I mean, I think I just grew up being in bands and I love horror movies and sci fi movies. And so when I got the opportunity to make a movie, that was of all the ideas that kick around, and I've written lots of scripts, this one is the one where when I chased it down, the movie ended up getting made. And so it really like that's what inspired me to make it was people wanted to make this one. But maybe that's because I had like a lived experience that I could kind of like put into it in a way. And since there's a lot of stuff in the movie, there's a lot of like my life, I guess.
Yeah, I
And
think like that's what I find so attractive about the story. Underneath all the like really fun, supernatural, surreal elements is the like at the core of it, it's a story about trying to make it as a struggling, middling artist. And there's something very I can't say universal because that's not everybody's struggle, but like it's universal to me.
universal to me too. I would say very similar, like getting to play a character who is an artist in the relentless pursuit of her art. Um, it was really great to be able to portray that in a character as well.
How did you kind of tap in with the characters, like DIY punk spirit within this film? It's very colorful. It's very out there. How did you guys tap into like your characters and use that spirit of punk to influence your characters?
Yeah, I will say I also designed the wardrobe for the film, and that was an extra great way of getting in to the world and the characters. And as you mentioned, those like the colors were so important, and just getting to focus in on like what is this character's kind of like uniform, and that really helped give a kind of a view into to who these characters are, including my character Court, who had to be the most kind of corporate feeling one of them all.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. Like I feel like we definitely all had our uniforms and that stayed throughout. So that definitely helped. Like you wouldn't you put it on like this is AC. These this jacket, these pants, these shoes. It was like throughout the entire thing. Definitely helped put on the hat. But I think the world that was created amongst the four of us band members, the world that Sam created with like the set and the colors and the music, it all helped to once you were on set, it just completely immersed yourself into that.
Yeah, there was something DIY and punk about the production,
Mm.
and that definitely feeds into the vibe of the scenes.
This question for you, Sam. The Curse riff is almost like a character itself. How did you approach creating a melody that was so catchy that people would ignore it as a red flag?
It was uh, going to the composer who's maybe like the best film composer that I have ever known and saying, hey, this is what we need. And then going, connecting him with Ace of Wands, which is like some of the best musicians that I've ever known who play the band in the movie, like they have the audio of the band, and sort of like having them collaborate. And like that riff is the thematic, it's the theme of the score. It's peppered all throughout, which is one of the reasons why it kind of works. But like, uh, I don't want to say don't take any credit or whatever, but I just put people who are great artists together and said, this is what we need. I didn't hum anything at them. I wasn't going like, yeah, no, no. It was like, what we're trying to evoke is this. And I sent them a couple of songs, but the songs were like wildly different. And I just sort of went like, it needs to be big. And also did that funny director thing where I could be like, this is really important. The whole movie falls apart if you guys don't nail this. So come up with something great. That was that was how I did it. And then they did. I mean, I was happy with the melody and the song months before we shot, and thusly able to teach it to Justine and the band, and have everybody going like, this is what it's going to be. And so on the set, we had a speakers, and we can play the music that's going to be in the actual movie, which helped us shoot it and make it feel a little bit more real. So I guess really organization is how I got that cool melody.
Mhm. What were some films that kind of influenced your process throughout this?
Green Room, Scott Pilgrim, Josie and the Pussycats, Phantom of the Paradise, Phantasm, From Beyond, any Stuart Gordon kind of thing. It was sort of like, what if we took Scott Pilgrim and we put it in to Phantasm? That was sort of like one of the original conceptions in terms of the comps of the script.
Hmm. I can see that. What about this? What do you think this film says about artists kind of chasing that validation and recognition? This for all you got.
I think that we're all susceptible to it. That we're willing to ignore red flags, like you mentioned, in the relentless pursuit of it. Yeah.
And that I feel like the movie is saying that it might not be worth it. But then also, you wouldn't go on adventures if you didn't give it all up.
Yeah, like look what you're missing out on.
Yeah.
I think there's also something with being in a band, especially in this day and age, that's very nebulous, and it's like impossible to know if you're engaging with the scene. Like everything is kind of like numbers and statistics and paid advertisements and whatever. And there is something when I watch Turn It Up that the feeling of being in a band where you are just sort of like, most of being in a band is holding your phone and refreshing it, wondering if people are like listening, and like, if you're a theater artist, at least sometimes you get like in the room and people clap, and like musicians do, but you get in the room a little less. And I don't know, I feel that with the AC storyline of like 90% of being in a band or being an artist is sort of being alone with your thoughts and doubts about it. So any opportunity comes along, you might be willing to turn a blind eye to the very, very, very obviously evil intentions.
Um, as you kind of mix the influences with this, why did you choose to kind of balance like the humor instead of playing all within the horror genre? As I say that, it makes less sense. But like, why did you feel like you had to, embrace the humor throughout these situations instead of like just playing the horror category?
It's a good question. Like I personally, Sam will have more to say about this, but like I write a lot of comedy and I find it very difficult to not lean into that. But also a lot of that tone is found on set, I think, when you're shooting, and like the band dynamics emerged, and we had our own little kind of comedy routines going, and like making each other laugh. And I think tone can sometimes be like something that is discovered, yes, as you write, but also as you shoot, and definitely in the edit. And I think it works wonderfully. Sam, why'd you make it so funny?
Uh, well, I think partly because um, it's just an absurd storyline anyway. But like the best horror is a little funny to me, and you know, it, horror movies that are not in any way have no levity to them. I can get down with that too, but you know, like you look at Weapons as an example, like that movie is funny. It's funny the whole way through it. It's scary and serious at times, but like it's also very funny. This movie, because it's so nonsensical and weird, I just thought it would be kind of funny if like the characters in the movie, you know, like they're kind of winking at you, like in a comedy where they sort of just telling you. It's sort of the Josie and the Pussycats comparison, where the characters in the movie at times are almost looking at the camera and going like, "We're in a movie." It's like this isn't reality. And that's, I don't know, it allows you to be more satirical, and also just like a comedy's fun to make. And I happened to know a bunch of really funny people. And so I think if I had set out to make a serious movie, I wouldn't have been able to help myself just by wanting to entertain myself, sort of like what Gwen said, of just like part of the time when you're writing a script, if you just think of a funny thing, suddenly the movie starts to become funnier than maybe you intended because you've thought of a funny bit. And I've had to kind of arrest that feeling when writing a script before, because I'm like, I could make this a comedy right now. It'd be so funny if this happened. And I've got a real funny line in my head, but I can't have them say that. This was a movie where I could have them say that. And thankfully, because Gwen has a lot of experience with comedy in actual practical fact, because this is my first movie, and I've made like music videos and documentaries, so it's not like I have a sketch comedy background. So it was great to have Gwen not only beforehand, but then integrated as part of the core acting team, that I could go off in between takes and adjust something, knowing the four actors would be working with Gwen and adjusting lines, figuring that stuff out. And by the time we would go on another take, it'd be even funnier, and they'd have come up with another little bit, or someone would improv, and I don't know. It's just fun to make a comedy. That's why we did it.
How did you guys kind of draw the parallels between how infectious, success is along how the goo spreads throughout the band? Were you intentionally drawing that parallel between like how infectious success can be and then how the goo kind of spreads throughout the band? That's something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's one of the things that I think, I don't think the movie's trying to say any one specific thing, but it's certainly meant to evoke the idea of, the contagion that can spread through a band or through bands of, it is a little ecosystem. And I've always found band dynamics fascinating. I'll watch any movie or documentary about a band. And certainly the way that I mean, spoilers, but the way that they get infected sort of does track this kind of like they're all chasing it and actively like choosing to do it, even though they're being told, hey, this is bad. This might be bad.
Mm. And it goes back to, you know, you want something so bad that you ignore the red flags about it. And chasing, you know, success can be self-destructive. And for you guys, when the audience leaves this film, what do you want them to leave with? What do you want to stick with them?
I hope they have a good time.
I was going to say the same thing.
I hope maybe they have a little tune stuck in their head. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it's about, you know, there's not really much of a message other than like sometimes it's the people you make the art with, and you know you can lose focus on that in any artistic vocation, probably in any job where you work with a core group of people all the time, is like kind of realizing sometimes that the people in your band are also just your friends, even if you're not in a band. Like there's more to that, and that's you know, the story between AC and Court, I think, is what I want people walking away going like, that made me have a good feeling. I certainly don't want it to be like, you know, art is cursed and being an artist is bad, because it should. I would like to inspire people to keep making art. I don't know if this movie is doing it. We'll see.
I mean, hey, if any filmmakers want to drop out of the field after watching this movie,
That wasn't for them.
yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it'll make people do that. I'd say it's more, it'll make you look at how you pursue, you know.
Who you surround yourself with, who you choose.
Yeah,
You
and
need to work.
maybe if some black goo comes out of your ear, don't ignore that.
Get it checked out.
Yeah, the lesson is really go get that checked out if you reach into your ear and then there's something on your finger that you don't recognize.
To go to a shaman or something, you know?
Yeah.
But that's all I have for you guys. My bad for being late. I appreciate you guys.
It's all good.
Ducked off low key, yeah, you know me. Kick it with Tyree, hit it 3 like Kyrie.